Boom, we are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Life as a Chad YouTube channel. I just wanted to quickly discuss, and I know I've talked about this a lot, and to tell you the truth, I think that there are a lot of people, especially in my audience, who are just like me, tired of this continuous focus by a small percentage of the population on coof or the cough. And it 100% defies logic. And the other day, and of course, right now we have another focus on the cases and stuff like that. You know, every time I turn on my computer, I see a sponsored article about coof. And see, what you guys need to realize is that this is an effort from the top down. If you don't believe that, you know, Pfizer, Moderna, these massive billion-dollar pharmaceutical businesses, if you do not believe that they have a ton of, I wouldn't say authority, but pull and power within the government system, within the media, and things like that, you're wrong. I mean, they have the money to designate full departments to things like ads, you know, marketing, and things like that. So anytime you see this concerted effort, just know that at the very least, a small percentage of the motivating factor is, of course, from the companies themselves throwing a ton of money at this whole thing. But there's one more thing that I have been kind of surprised about. Now, where I live, of course, is not the most conservative area. In fact, I would say that it's one of the most liberal areas. And for the past 5 months, people have stopped wearing the masks, and there has not been the concerted effort or focus on coof. Now, I assumed that it had more to do with people waking up than anything else. I assumed that people were starting to recognize some of the things that people like myself have seen since day one. And it's not true, and I'll tell you why. Because as soon as there is a concerted outpouring of stories like we have seen recently, people start acting irrationally all over again and completely forget about the 5 months that they have been totally fine. Now, how about the fact that the original point and the original focus on these preventative measures was due to people being afraid that coof was super deadly. And it's like, okay, for the first year, perhaps that's slightly understandable. And they said all of these things to slow the spread to, you know, just 14 days, just this. And it's like, okay, the first year, that's understandable. But now the people, you know, who have been offed by the virus and were the most susceptible, it's the time, they're pretty much like, if you're still alive, you are not one of those super susceptible people. You know, you should be okay. In other words, the people who, like, anytime there's a new thing, within the first year, if you can make it past that, you're probably okay. So we're not going to see that type of surge anymore. And so what I'm saying is that as far as the whole being afraid that it's deathly to a vast majority of the population is crazy. It's not at this point. The second thing is that a majority of the population is vaccinated as they can be. As they can be. Not only that, but a large portion of the population also has antibodies and the defense against the virus. And it's at the point now where it's just like, listen, you need to once and for all just make a decision that you are no longer going to focus on it with regards to the preventative measures that you did at the beginning of all this. But so going back to my original point, like I said, I thought that people were starting to wake up to the logic that I was accustomed to myself and others like me. And it's not true. What it actually is that these people who have stopped wearing the masks and then started back wearing the mask, what they have shown is that they have not learned a damn thing, actually. But what it really is that they thought and they lulled themselves into a false sense of security. And their thinking is irrational already, okay? I just want to point that out. And illogical. But they lulled themselves into a false sense of security in thinking that, okay, I have 6 shots, I have the mask, I'm just never going to get it. I'm just never going to get it. And it's like, and so that it explains why they have started, some of these crazy people have started taking their masks off and then putting it back on, because they haven't actually learned anything. They are still super susceptible to the irrationality of this whole nonsense. It is that they have lulled themselves into this false paradigm that is not real. It's like, dude, it is obvious by now that the shots do not completely prevent you from getting the sickness. And again, it's like, okay, you need to ask yourself as a fucking human being, are you actually that scared that if you happen to get the coof, that you are going to die? Are you actually that concerned? Because if the answer is no, then these preventative measures need to pull back a little bit. But I don't think it will, because these people in and of themselves have been and are insane. And they have convinced themselves of these lies from day one. So, I am extremely, extremely sad with society and human nature. The whole coof thing has shown that most people are totally sheep and will follow anything and are devoid of logic. The ignorance and the arrogance of this whole coof thing, it's like, how small a virus is? Do you know how small germs are? If the arrogance to believe that you can actually have any sort of control over a sickness is total and utter arrogance. All right, guys, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Of course, life is Chad. See you later.